A 70-year-old woman was killed and 13 civilians injured in a Russian glide bomb strike on the city of Sumy. A fire in the Tver region, where Ukrainian drones struck a military storage unit, could not be extinguished for 2 days. Ukraine has destroyed $3 billion worth of Russian tanks. Hi, I'm Zhenia Melnyk, and this is United 24 Media. Russian troops struck the city of Sumy with guided aerial bombs, hitting a nursing home. One person, a 70-year-old woman, was killed and 13 civilians were injured, reported the State Emergency Service. The strike partially destroyed the ground floor and the fifth floor of the building. 147 people were evacuated. A fire in Russia's Toropets, where drones struck a military storage unit, could not be extinguished for 2 days, and the billowing smoke could be observed from outer space. On September 19, the media took hold of satellite imagery showcasing the extent of the damage, with massive craters and smoke still rising from the debris. The destroyed stockpile in the Tver region is estimated to hold up to 30,000 tons of various ammunition. The 107th arsenal of the main missile and artillery directorate of the Russian Defense Ministry covers nearly 8 square kilometers and is located 480 kilometers from Ukraine. It is reportedly one of the largest military storage facilities in Russia. According to the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation, it is used to store rockets for Grad multiple launch systems, S-300 and S-400 missiles. Russians also used this depot to build up a stockpile of North Korean KN-23 ballistic missiles.
Отсюда ракурс не очень, но дым вот он, прям вот, это прям жесть.
While local residents were filming the explosions, the local mayor reported the situation was under control.
Отработала система ПВО Министерства обороны, беспилотные летательные аппараты были сбиты, при падении произошел пожар.
The attack on the ammunition depot was carried out by drones from the Security Service of Ukraine, the main intelligence directorate and special operation forces. Ukraine continues to be a contributor to global food security amidst the war with Russia, reported President Zelensky on his Telegram channel. According to statistics provided in his post, 70 million tons of grain have been transported via the sea corridor. More than 2,500 cargo ships have been sailing to seaports in Asia, Africa, America, and Europe. The humanitarian food program Grain from Ukraine, which was launched back in 2022, has helped to provide food to hundreds of thousands of families in Ethiopia, Somalia, Yemen, and Sudan. This is all happening while Russia's aggression continues targeting civilian cargo ships off the coast of neighboring NATO countries in the Black Sea. Just last week, on September 12th, footage was released showing the damage to civilian bulk carrier Aya after it was hit by a Russian missile strike on the Black Sea. President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen arrived in Kyiv to discuss Europe's support for Ukraine. In particular, winter preparation, defense, and progress on the G7 loans. She met with President Zelensky in Ukraine's capital.
The Commission has adopted proposals that will enable the European Union to lend 35 billion euros from the G7 pledge. This is a huge step forward. We are now confident that we can deliver this loan to Ukraine very quickly, a loan that is backed by the windfall profits from immobilized Russian assets.
Ukraine has destroyed $3 billion worth of Russian tanks in the war. According to Dutch open-source intelligence group Oryx, since the start of the full-scale invasion, Russian ground forces have lost more than 3,000 tanks. The most destroyed model was a family of the Soviet T-72 main battle tank. With more than 1,500 destroyed units, this is still not the most debilitating financial loss, as opposed to the destruction of 942 T-80 tanks, which amount to $1 billion total. While we crunch the numbers, Ukrainian defenders continue scrapping the Russian armor. Just on September 18th, according to the recent General Staff update, Moscow lost at least 14 tanks and 13 armored personnel carriers. Nearly 16,000 residents still remain in the city of Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region. This figure was released by the head of the regional military administration, V0м. Among them are 177 children. According to Filashkin, more than 30,000 civilians have already left the city, which is under constant Russian fire. Meanwhile, evacuations from Pokrovsk are ongoing, with volunteers helping to transfer those who are unable to leave the city by themselves.
Those who were able to leave on their own have done so, but for patients like this one, it's very difficult to find transportation and evacuate them by regular car. Special transportation is needed, along with medical supervision.
One resident, 40-year-old Maxim, is facing such challenges. His mother is bedridden and his sister has Down syndrome, so both women are in need of medical assistance.
We've lived here our whole lives. We were born here, we're from here. It's hard to leave our home, but there's nothing we can do about it. There's no electricity, no heating, no gas. None of that is available. We're mainly leaving because we need to evacuate my mom and sister, and there's nothing we can do for them here.
Russian forces have planted anti-personnel mines in the buffer zone around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant and amassed a military presence, the International Atomic Energy Agency reports. During the annual IAEA conference held in Vienna, Director General Rafael Grossi published his comprehensive review of the nuclear safety and security in Ukraine.
The IAEA has been present at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Already 23 rotations of IAEA experts are there, contributing, working, informing the international community of what is going on.
In the review, Grossi states the mission at the Ukrainian Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant continues to observe the presence of anti-personnel mines. These are situated in the buffer zone between the facility's internal and external fences, in a restricted area inaccessible to operating plant personnel. Moreover, the mission reported that the constant presence of armed troops as well as military equipment prevented access to some areas inside the nuclear plant. To follow the latest news from Ukraine, subscribe to our YouTube channel. The European Union will allocate an additional 160 million euros to help Ukraine's energy system. According to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, part of the funding will come from the proceeds of frozen Russian assets.
This includes 60 million euros in humanitarian aid for shelters and heaters, for example. And it includes around 100 million euros for repair works and renewables. And these 100 million euros come from the proceeds of the immobilized Russian assets in the European Union. Because it is only right that Russia pays for the destruction it caused.
According to von der Leyen, nearly 80% of Ukraine's thermal power plants have been destroyed, as well as a third of the hydropower capacity. Ukraine's energy minister Herman Galushchenko stated that between October 2022 and September 2024, the country's energy infrastructure suffered 1,024 Russian attacks. Finland's President Alexander Stubb has advocated for an expansion of the UN Security Council, the elimination of the single-state veto power, and the suspension of any member involved in an illegal war.
And my final and third proposal is to have a Security Council where there is no veto power. So no single state would have the right to veto. And of course, as a side-on to these three concrete proposals, I suggest that if a country is engaged in an illegal war of aggression, like Russia is right now, it will immediately be suspended from the UN Security Council.
In an interview with Reuters, he underlined that Europe has to continue supporting Ukraine both financially and militarily. Stubb also says that Western nations must lift restrictions on the use of arms which they have provided.
Ukraine is now fighting this war with one hand tied behind its back. We need to let that hand go and allow Ukraine to do what Russia is doing to it.
Even if that led to nuclear escalation?
It's not leading to nuclear escalation. Last time we saw Putin using aggressive language on nuclear weapons, the global south and China basically told Putin to stop. The more you threaten with nuclear weapons, the less likely you are to use them.
The European Parliament calls for the lifting of restrictions on Ukraine's use of Western weapons to strike legitimate military targets in Russia. A resolution was passed during a plenary session in Strasbourg. The parliament stated that without lifting the current restrictions, Ukraine cannot fully exercise its right to self-defense and remains exposed to attacks on its population and infrastructure. Denmark will deliver more F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine by the end of the year. This announcement comes from Danish Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen after a visit to Ukraine. The next delivery is expected in the second half of 2024. The specific quantity and exact delivery date remain undisclosed for security reasons. Earlier, Denmark promised to deliver 19 jets. Ukraine is eventually expected to receive at least 79 F-16s from the so-called F-16 coalition, which consists of NATO members such as Belgium, Denmark, Norway and the Netherlands. Deliveries will continue over the coming years. Back in May 2024, Ukraine already received its first green light from Denmark regarding the usage of Danish supplied jets to target military sites located on Russian soil. The Netherlands followed suit. Dutch Defense Minister Ruben Brekelmans said that international law does not impose distance limitation and does not cease to apply 100 kilometers from the border. By the end of September, Ukraine will get the second SAMP air defense system, capable of intercepting ballistic missiles. This was announced by Italy's defense minister Guido Crosetto. The Franco-Italian system can track dozens of targets and intercept 10 simultaneously. It is the only European-made air defense system capable of shooting down ballistic missiles. The first unit was jointly delivered to Ukraine by Italy and France in 2023. More than 70 Russian troops have been killed and 200 wounded near the city of Vovchansk. The 71st Jaeger Brigade released footage showing Ukrainian defenders repelling yet another Russian large-scale assault. Although the Ukrainian Jaegers were outnumbered, they remained stalwart in their fight against Russian soldiers and, with the help of the new Dragon drones, managed to push back the attacking force. Thank you for being with us today. We are United 24 Media. See you on Monday.